3 months ago we were ultra bearish and I made a video to help me choose 3 altcoins out of 6 to perform the best it can in the bull run when it comes. Now, what were the coins that I chose? They were IMX, ILV and Render over GALA, Sandbox and also Mana. Okay, so in this video I'm gonna show you exactly what I did and exactly what helped me to choose those coins over the others. And as you can see already, we were already pretty successful. I was able to choose the better coins that performed much better so far up until December 2023, now that we finally have the beginning of the bull run in crypto. And let's check out actually how did that play out. Okay, so as I said, I had larger allocations in Render, IMX and ILV over these 3. Okay, so Render from these lows made a 3x. Okay, ILV also from the lows to the highs made another 3x, and also IMX similarly from 50 cents to $1.50 also did 3x. Super interestingly, these 3 coins that I chose did a 3x over, let's check Sandbox and GALA. Okay, so this is Sandbox that we're looking at. Sandbox only did actually less than a 2x. Okay, Mana is similar. GALA did a little bit better, you know, because it collapsed, like the low was a lot more significant. So I mean, when I made the video, it was here at 1.6, but it still even went further lower. But anyway, GALA did a 2.5x, which is very decent, again in my opinion, because GALA was oversold. But anyway, even still, GALA underperformed the 3 other coins that I chose. Okay, now if you're new to my channel, normally I do also tokenomics analysis and on-chain analysis, and sometimes I do my own dashboards for the on-chain analysis to show what I found. But this video is gonna be very focused on the technical analysis against the US dollar, but more importantly against Bitcoin or Ethereum, because when you do that, guys, many people don't do that, but when you actually check for your favorite altcoin, okay, how it does against Bitcoin or Ethereum, it can help you a lot. And once again, I actually liked all of these 6 coins, but this extra insight helped me to choose 3 over the other 3. So let me show you exactly what I mean. Okay, so for example, GALA. Okay, GALA against Bitcoin, as you can see, it's been in a major downtrend for like forever. Okay, now most recently I did want to show that GALA Bitcoin is finally finding some resilience, okay, but we actually have a major bull run already starting here, right? So I mean, considering the fact that we're in a major bull run, I would still say it's not that impressive once you see the other charts, once you see Illuvium, for example, how it does against Bitcoin and Ethereum. But generally, this is why I didn't choose GALA, okay, because when you look at it against Bitcoin, it was atrocious. Okay, so for example, this was December 2022. You know, it had a very nice move, but we eventually made actually further lower lows than December 2022. All right, so that you just understand. Okay, so we had the low in December 2022 against the US dollar at 1.5 cents, okay, and we actually had a slightly lower low, okay, recently in September and October at 1.3, okay, it was slightly lower. But when you look against Bitcoin, you know, Bitcoin was a lot higher in October, September 2023 than in December 2022. So this is why when you look at GALA against Bitcoin, look how significantly for lower low it was. Okay, so this is what made me not choose GALA and Bitcoin. Now, when it comes to Mana and Sandbox, I actually want to say they start to look sort of interesting to me. They are very similar, by the way, you know, like when you look at GALA and Mana, they almost look identical. Okay, so I'm just gonna show you Mana, for example, but you know, everything we say here about Mana is gonna be exactly relevant for Sandbox too. Okay, so when it comes to Mana against Bitcoin, you know, it was also in a major downtrend for a very long time, since the last 2021 bull run. But look, the interesting thing is that you see, so we did made significantly lower lows than very significant level that was like a support level, you know, like once Mana, for example, bounced from here against Bitcoin, it had like the most significant bull run actually in Mana, and Mana went to its all-time highs, okay, over here, once it bounced from this support, you see? So anyway, it was a very significant level for both Sandbox and Mana, like we said, okay? But recently, we actually went slightly below this level, And now we're sort of really fighting with this level, okay? So Bitcoin against the US dollar is going higher, and Sandbox and Mana also, but they don't really outperform, okay? Now, obviously, in the bull runs, when Bitcoin is going higher, we're looking for the altcoins that will outperform Bitcoin, because otherwise, why should we even have this altcoin versus just having Bitcoin, okay? So this is the interesting thing, okay? At the moment, it sort of has a fight in this region, but I actually think if it's able to start trending higher and maybe start establishing itself, okay, at these levels that it was here in May and June, okay, let's say it happens approximately here, then I actually think I may shift what I'm thinking about Sandbox and Mana, okay? If they start doing that, I actually think then Sandbox and Mana may be able to do some major move, okay? So this is what I'm currently eyeing, okay? If you're interested in Sandbox and Mana, none of this is financial advice, you know, but this is just my personal strategy, okay? So at the moment it was very lackluster, as we said, okay? So once it will be impressive against Bitcoin, okay, that's when actually maybe Mana and Sandbox can start ripping higher, okay? So these are the levels that I'm watching. If they're able to do that, then I think Sandbox and Mana can also start making more impressive moves like the other altcoins. But if it doesn't do that, but if it's actually gonna be a lower high and it's gonna keep bleeding here, I will have zero interest in Sandbox and Mana, okay? Now, guys, I want to show you also the winners, right, that we chose in the summer of 2023. And I also want to show you why, okay? So let me show you the best example. So this is Render against Bitcoin, okay? Now, this is Render against Bitcoin. Like, as you can see, we have a totally different story from what we've had with GALA and Mana, because they were like in perpetual downtrends, okay? Render against Bitcoin is in a totally different story. From June 2022, okay, not even the bottom of the bull run, Render against Bitcoin was already in an uptrend. Now, I just want to be transparent and to tell you the truth. Like, unfortunately, over here, okay, I actually wasn't watching this chart for my mistake. As you can see, this is why these charts against Bitcoin are so important, okay? So think about it. Render against Bitcoin, you know, it was already showing you signs of strength, still like at the bear market, still in 2022, okay, from June 2022 until January 2023. All right, let me show you, let me come back to Render against USD. Okay, so think about it. You're able to see that Render against Bitcoin has been making higher lows, okay, and looking very impressive against Bitcoin, okay, but still we were so ultra bearish. Now, Render against USD looked like that, okay? The bottom was 30 cents, but because everything was collapsing, it was still 40 cents. But this is January 2023, guys. Now, again, I unfortunately wasn't watching the Render against Bitcoin chart back then, but just once you see this information, you understand why it's so significant. So, Render against Bitcoin already showed us all of this strength, okay? And then, once we finally had a significant move by Bitcoin, if you guys remember, Bitcoin went here from 16K all the way back to 20-something K, sort of invalidating the bear market that it had in 2022. And then we had a mini altcoin season in early 2023, and Render was among the superstars. Why it was among the superstars? Why back then already it did like a 5x in just 1 month, even though it was a pretty large coin anyway? Because Render against Bitcoin was looking super impressive, okay? So still, Render against Bitcoin still keeps looking impressive. Now, the thing with Render, you know, none of this is financial advice, as we said, but in my personal opinion, the problem right now with Render is it's just that Render is already a little bit more than a 10x higher from its lows, okay? Completely unlikely, unlike all the other coins that we were watching here, right? Like GALA is only 2.5x higher, and Mana and Sandbox are not even 2x, right? Render is 10x higher, okay? So in my personal opinion, when it comes to the present moment, Render is like still looking ultra bullish and amazing, but the problem is that for me at least, I don't know like how much farther will it go. Will it only reach the all-time high? Okay, I'm talking about really the next few months. I'm not talking about 2025 and 2026. In my opinion, when it comes to much longer time frames, I think Render still have a lot of room to keep going higher. If you've seen my other Render video, I think it is possible. Render is actually gonna be a number in the top 10, okay, of cryptocurrencies at some point. But just when it comes to this bullish momentum that we have for the next few months, Personally, I don't like. Personally, I would not be buying Render right now, just because it was so much higher anyway, and just because it's facing resistance now. Okay, but again, this is my opinion, and obviously I could be wrong. Maybe Render will just keep ripping and ripping. But when it comes to my decision, okay, back in August and September, okay, we were in a significant uptrend when it comes to comparing against Sandbox, Mana, GALA. You see, we have a totally different chart. So this is why I chose Render, and this is why Render so far was able to do a 3x from August and September 2023. Now guys, let me show you the other coins that in my opinion are still relevant, are still interesting in my opinion for the next few months. Again, more interesting than Render for the next 3 months, and in my opinion they also have a very, very good chances of keep performing really, really well even further in 2025. But anyway, let me show you IMX. Okay, so with IMX against Bitcoin, I wasn't as certain as Render, right? Because this was like a total uptrend. With IMX against Bitcoin, you know, we were actually making lower lows, but the interesting thing is that it was still making highs in the same region, okay, like in the 5355 over here, okay, that I made a horizontal yellow line over here. And most recently, okay, IMX kept going lower, okay, but it still, as we said, was able to do another 3x. So again, when it comes to the foreseeable future, what I think about IMX against Bitcoin and ILV against Ethereum, and how would I be playing it if I still don't have a position or I have a small position, okay? So when it comes to IMX, okay, so far it looks like it has a pretty decent, I wouldn't say clean way, right? Because it stumbled a little bit over here at this level of 3.9 or 4, okay? So what I mean, so far it's been facing resistance like at this prior support level, okay? So now it's resistance for IMX against Bitcoin. But as we can see, like the really significant resistance was over here. So the way I see it for IMX against Bitcoin, it looks like it still has very decent chances doing another almost 50% move again against Bitcoin. So meaning, let's say Bitcoin is going to 50k, it means I'd be expecting IMX to do almost another 2x from here, okay? Because it will do a 50% against Bitcoin plus whatever the amount the Bitcoin went further higher, okay? But once IMX BTC, or should I say if it also reaches these levels, then it's gonna be interesting, because then it can stumble again and maybe unable to break. But guys, okay, if you start to see, primarily I should say weekly closes, okay, because as you can see on the weekly chart, we primarily had wicks to this level, excluding the very first time IMX actually collapsed to these levels, okay, and established it as a new resistance level, okay. Only here it had a one weekly close above it, but just generally, as you can see, it was super bearish, and after that it only had wicks over here. So in my opinion, okay, if IMX against Bitcoin is able to have a weekly close above this level of 5355, okay, then I think IMX against Bitcoin is going to be ultra bullish, because then it will have a really, really nice opportunity of going at least to these levels over here, okay, like 9.7, like basically doing another 2x against Bitcoin, okay, from here, and maybe even going to the very highs, okay? But we're gonna see it step by step. At the moment, I'm looking at this target first, and then we're gonna see what's gonna happen next. But just generally, I think IMX against Bitcoin is still able to do approximately another 2x, okay, against Bitcoin. And again, the higher Bitcoin goes, the even more IMX can go, okay? So right now, as I'm recording the video, IMX was around 156 cents, okay? So I think, in my opinion, it has very decent chances of going back to the $3 region or even higher within the next few months. All right, so that was IMX BTC. Now the last one that is super interesting in my opinion is ILV against Ethereum. So first of all, guys, I just want to show you that. So when I recorded the video, as you can see, ILV versus Ethereum was only breaking out from this major uptrend from so much long ago, okay? So this was basically the top of the bull run and the top for ILV when it was worth $1,800, okay? So as you can see, we've had this downtrend, okay, for an extremely long time, and here in August 2023, finally it was able to break out from here and kind of establish and even more impressively establishing a higher low from this low, okay? And this chart is against Ethereum, okay? As you guys know, Ethereum is also even more volatile normally in bull markets than Bitcoin, so that is even more impressive, okay? That ILV is looking really nice against Ethereum. So, in my opinion now, ILV against Ethereum really looks amazing, okay? But, as we can see, we've once again found, just like IMX, okay, we found a significant resistance level back from February 2023. So here is the interesting thing, okay, so at the moment, ILV against Ethereum is worth 0.044. Now the resistance level is at 0.057, okay? The interesting thing, guys, that I just wanted to show you, particularly with ILV in this video, okay, is that, look, at the moment we'll need to see what's gonna keep happening here, and will ILV against Ethereum gonna be able to try and push once again this level, okay, and will it establish a higher low somewhere over here? Maybe if it establishes at this level, that can look very bullish, and of course even if it establishes the higher low even at a higher level from here, that's also going to be great. Now, if we're going to start seeing ILV against Ethereum starting to fight, okay, once again with this region here, 5.7, as you can see, guys, we have absolutely like nothing here. Like every single time ILV against Ethereum was reaching this level, so in a bull market, right, so it just like didn't stop, okay, it just didn't stop up until this region, which is a lot higher. And similarly in the bear market, as you can see in June and July 2022, like just look how significant was that back then, okay, so it was down and down and down, but once it broke this level, like look at that red candle, just look how all of that was so much more severe than what we've had before, okay, with ILV against Ethereum. So bottom line, guys, we have like absolutely no support and resistance in this whole region, okay? So if ILV against Ethereum is able to breach this level, okay, in my opinion, it will have a super easy path all the way to 0.14, okay? And why that's so crazy, that is like 3x from here, almost a 3x, and even more than a 3x from the current prices as I'm recording the video. And again, that is against Ethereum. So Ethereum right now is 2300. So if Ethereum is starting to reach, let's say, 3000, we're you know, like ILV can even outperform all of that. So if ILV is making let's say another 3x against Ethereum for the USD price of ILV, that can be even a lot higher. Also, by the way, let's really come back to the USD price of ILV, because once again, as you probably understand from my tone, from all of these, at the moment, I'm the most bullish on Illuvium. But we're gonna see, of course, right? Like, I mean, I'm still bullish with Render, I just don't know where it's gonna stop. Like with ILV, we just have so much more room for further upside. That's why I'm excited about ILV. So, at the moment, also with the US dollar, we have a major fight here from these regions from like July 2022, okay, when it was around this like 120, 115 to 100 level, okay. So if it's gonna be able to break against Ethereum, obviously it's gonna break more significantly against the US dollar, okay? So if it's able to do a 3x against Ethereum, a 3x for ILV from here against the US dollar, okay, that's gonna already put it at like 300, okay? But as you can see, we don't have that much resistance also against the US dollar in all of this region, right? So in my opinion, basically guys, in my opinion, within the next few months, I think ILV will have a very decent chance, okay, having basically outperforming all the other coins I was talking about earlier over here, okay? So if ILV is able to reach this level against Ethereum, okay, that's another like 3 and something X against Ethereum. ILV against the US dollar, in my opinion, is gonna be able to actually try and reach all of these levels here, like from 400 and something all the way to 500. Again, if it's able to break this region of like 120, 130, my personal target for ILV is gonna be around a 500 100, all right? So why I'm so excited about that, because for IMX, it just has a lot more resistance levels on the way up, okay? Render also, just because it already has a 10x from the lows, imagine many people who are 10x or 5x and so on, they're already taking profit, so that's why for Render it's harder to kind of get even higher, okay? So yeah guys, so to sum up what we discussed with the video, okay, if you have some other coins that you like, okay, that you either have in your portfolio or looking to buy, please consider looking at its pair against Bitcoin or Ethereum, because it's gonna add you so much more extra value and insight, okay? Now, when it comes to the 6 coins that we've discussed today, okay, this is what I'm gonna be looking at. So this is the summary of what I'm gonna be looking at, okay? So GALA against Bitcoin is looking not so bad, but I don't like that it's still not kind of pushing even higher and not looking even more impressive. And you know, so far it looks like this region could be a pretty big resistance level, and that's only like 25% from the current GALA's price against Bitcoin. So at the moment, just for GALA, it looks like there's just so many resistance levels against Bitcoin and against the US dollar. So that's why with GALA, I don't expect that much more upside within the next few months. When it comes to Mana and Sandbox, I think they're interesting if, as we said, if they're able to establish a few wicks, okay, having just like higher than this yellow line over here, 1188, okay, if it's gonna be able to be here at 1.3 or something like that, okay, and stay for a long time in the case of Mana, right? And again, probably they're gonna do exactly the same, Sandbox and Mana, okay? So if they're able to do that, I think they're gonna be also super interesting, and then I think Sandbox and Mana can actually have also something like a 3, 4, 5x upside against Bitcoin, which is gonna be awesome. So those ones I am eyeing, but again, at the moment they're not really breaking it, so I'm just gonna watch it, but at the moment they're not like a no-brainer to me. And as we know, so far they didn't even do a 2x against the US dollar from the lows. Render, as I said, like in terms of buying new Render, for me personally, I am not interested because it's just so much further higher up. And think about it, like Render is up a 10x, and all the other coins that we've discussed today are up, like in the case of Mana and Sand, even less than the 2x, and in the case of even the successful ones like IMX and Illuvium, they're up 3x. But Render from the very lows is 10x already, have like more resistance levels over here. So this is why with Render I'm kind of unsure. Like it could continue exploding further up, but it could actually stumble here, and maybe this is actually approximately the end of this bull cycle that we have in the next few months for Render against Bitcoin, okay? Now, IMX, as I said, I think it's much more interesting because I think it should have a easier path to this region of 5355, okay? And after that, if it's able to actually establish weekly closes above here, I think it will have really nice chances of doing a 3x against Bitcoin, which could be absolutely fantastic. And lastly, ILV, as I said, in my opinion, really the most interesting here, because first of all, that's against Ethereum, not against Bitcoin. And recently, Ethereum was also underperforming Bitcoin. So arguably, Ethereum may have more upside within the next few months than Bitcoin. So if ILV is going to continue being so impressive against Ethereum, in my opinion, from all of the coins that we discussed, Illuvium has a really nice shot of outperforming all of those, again, within the next few months. Like, please just remember what I'm discussing is this bull cycle that we have exactly right now, okay? And at some point, we're gonna have some major correction. All of that is gonna reset, all of that is gonna stop, and then we're gonna look once again for all the best coins, how are they doing against Bitcoin, and how are they doing on-chain and tokenomics. And we're gonna choose once again for the next major bull cycle. So guys, thank you very much for joining AR7 Crypto channel once again. And yeah guys, have a fantastic week and a fantastic weekend ahead, and cheers as always.